Afternoon. How are you doing? Welcome to Growth Habits with Ngozi. I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. How are you today? Good morning if it's morning where you are. Good afternoon if it's afternoon where you are. And good evening if it's already evening where you are. My name is Ngozi, as the name says, Growth Habits with Ngozi. I am your personal guide on this journey of growth. And I say that I'm your personal guide because I don't just tell you how to grow, I don't just show you the way to growth. I actually go on the journey with you. So I am your personal guide on the journey of growth, which is why I call myself a growth mentor and not just a growth coach. Because, as I always say, the coach does not play. Hardly in any sports will you see the coach actually playing when it's time for the match. The coach, maybe during practice, he will, run around, show them how it's done. But once it's go time, the coach is on the sidelines and the players are playing. But I am a mentor, so I don't just tell you how it's done. I actually hold your hand. I go the journey with you to ensure that you are not alone, which is very important because many times we abandon journeys because we think we're all alone. But I go with you to ensure one that you are not alone. You know that you are not alone. You know that you're not alone. And then because I'm going with you, I can experience some of the things you're experiencing and I can offer more relevant advice. Okay, so all right, just needed to do a quick sound check. So that is why I say that I'm a growth mentor and not just a growth coach. But if coaching is what you need, I will just coach you. That's the beauty of it. If you need the mentoring, I will mentor you. You need the coaching, I will coach you. And we leave it at that. So it's all structured towards what is best for you. That is what I will. I'm just trying to go around to make sure we are live everywhere. Okay, we are live everywhere. We're meant to be live: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We are live. So you can choose any of those um, platforms and watch growth habits on them. Okay, so yeah, this June has been our month where we talk about influence, power, and personal authority. Give me 1 minute. I need to check on the Facebook page, not just. I can see that I'm live on Facebook, but okay. I want to check on Growth Habits page if we are live. Okay, yeah. So, because I noticed from last week, I'm able to go live both on my personal page and on Growth Habits page. Okay, let me just. Okay, so yeah, we are live everywhere we should be live. So that's good. That's good. Okay, so I was saying that this June, we have been talking about influence, power, and personal authority. That's what we've been talking about in the month of June. And we said that this June is the month where we own the room without raising our voice. We own the room without raising our voice. That is what we said the month of June is about. And today's session, we're going to be talking about authority without arrogance. Very important. Many a times we have authority, but with a whole lot of arrogance. A whole lot of arrogance. But today, we want to look at authority without arrogance, because that is truly how you can lead people. That's how you can influence people, when you are able to exert some level of authority without arrogance. So over the past 3 weeks, we've been looking at influence. Like I said, our first session, we talked about executive presence. That's, we learned that influence begins even before you say a word. It begins with the impression that people have of how confident you are, how credible you are, your composure. That is how it starts. Influence. People get that feel from you first. So executive presence, we said, it's not about being noticed per se, but it's about inspiring confidence in people. In week 2, we talked about energy management and personal magnetism. And we said that when we talk about energy management, people are also influenced by what they experience around us. Not just that we exude confidence, but do they experience peace coming from us? What do they experience coming from us? We talked about emotional contagion, personal magnetism, and the importance of managing our emotional, mental, relational, and spiritual energy. That aura that we give off. We talked about managing it in week 2. Then in week 3, which is last week, we talked about speaking with conviction. The other things we spoke about earlier, you've not said a word. This is, how you present without speaking. But last week we talked about speaking with conviction. Because at a point you do have to express influence. You do have to express influence. And we said that yes, presence opens the door. The energy attracts people. The energy you exude attracts people. But words do move people. The words that we speak move people. And we said that it's essential that we speak with clarity, with confidence, with courage, with conviction, so that people grab what we are saying. They are pulled by the words that we speak, and they're inspired to act. Okay. And they're inspired to act based on the things that we say. Today we've come to it's quite an important conversation, I think, in this series of influence, because when we exert influence and is not balanced by humility. Remember, we're talking about authority without arrogance. When we exert influence and there is no humility attached to it, it can prove to be dangerous. It can be a dangerous mix, because authority can become very destructive. It can. It can. Especially when there is no character backing it. It can prove to be dangerous. Keyword is can. It doesn't have to, but it can. Um, we've heard this expression, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts, absolutely. But I want to adjust that expression just a little bit today. And I say that power, it does corrupt, but it's when it is disconnected from purpose mostly. That is when mostly the power corrupts. So today, like I said, we're talking about authority without arrogance. Please, if you're joining me, do let me know that you're here. If possible, let me know where you're joining me from. I can see someone on the growth habits page. I can see someone there. If you're joining me, just let me know where you're joining me from. I see you on Instagram, Frank. Thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. Okay, those are the ones that I can see immediately who has joined. I might not see your name, but I know you're there. I can see you showing as a number, so I know somebody is there. I know people are there. Okay, so like I said, we're talking about authority today without arrogance, without intimidation, without too much control, because there is a fine line between leadership and control, a very fine line, and it's easy to cross it. There's also a fine line between influence and intimidation, very fine line, and it's so easy to cross those lines. It's so easy because the line is razor thin, such a fine line. And I have seen that a lot of failures, leadership failures in history, if you study them, you'll find that many of them is because the people, they had control, they gained authority, but they were not humble. They lost humility along the way. They lost humility along the way. And it's essential because we need to be able to lead confidently without becoming prideful. We need to be able to influence people without controlling them. We need to be able to carry authority without making other people feel small because we carry authority. We need to be able to be strong without being, will I say, self important? I think that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. For you to be a true leader that influences, you need to be able to lead confidently without being prideful, without being arrogant about it. You need to be able to be strong without becoming self-important. It doesn't mean that you're going to ignore yourself. It doesn't mean you will not consider your needs, but there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. So, what is authority? Because we're talking about that today, is the ability to influence, is the ability to guide, to direct, to make decisions that affect people, that affect situations, that affect outcomes. That is authority, ability to influence, guide, direct, make decisions that affect people, situations, and outcomes. So it's not just about a position, because you can actually have authority without position. I have seen it. It's very possible. So you can have authority because of expertise, because you just know some things, because of your experience, responsibility, of course, your character. They can all give you authority. They cannot give you authority. Because when you, let's say, exercise authority over people, they begin to trust your judgment. That's the idea of authority. They have confidence in you. It provides people with direction when you are in a position of authority. I'm using the word position carefully because, like I said, it doesn't have to be a position. You can actually have authority without position. I've seen places where, like in a work environment, you have the MD, you have the management staff, and it's just one small, in quotes, small person that seems to exercise all the authority, that influences people, that gets people to have confidence in them. So you have authority without position. It's very possible. What is personal authority? That is the influence that comes from competence, from integrity, from wisdom, from self mastery, rather than from a title or from a position. Okay. Um, People that have personal authority, one thing that I have come to see, that they don't need constant reminders that they're important. They don't need constant reminders. Others just naturally recognize that influence, just like the example I just gave of, like, in an office where maybe it's the staff that is not really, doesn't have the position, that is influencing people and getting them to do things that's influencing them. So, personal authority is that influence that comes from competence, that comes from your integrity, your wisdom, self mastery, rather than title or position. I see you, Elrije Fabrics on Instagram. Thank you for joining me. I see two people on Facebook who I don't know who you are because I cannot see your name. Thank you for joining me. I also see one person on our Growth Habits page. Thank you for joining me. All right, so we've talked about personal authority. What is arrogance? Because we are talking about today authority without arrogance. So, what is arrogance? Is that exaggerated sense of one's importance. Exaggerated sense of one's importance, superiority, knowledge, or value. And this exaggerated sense results in dismissing, devaluing, or looking down on others. This exaggerated sense of your importance, of your superiority, of your knowledge or your values. And this results in dismissing, devaluing, or looking down on others. That is arrogance. And arrogance, it can appear in a lot of places, but usually when you're excessively self-focused, arrogance arises. When you find it difficult to receive feedback from people, it's a sign of arrogance. You have a constant need to be validated, it's a sign of arrogance. There's something, okay, before I get to that, arrogance basically is you telling people I'm better than you. It's not even so much that you know more than them. You just feel you're better than them. That is arrogance. Then what is confidence? Because for you to be able to exercise authority without arrogance, you need to have a level of confidence. Confidence is that healthy belief in your abilities, in your value, in your preparation, in your capacity. That is what is confidence. Confidence is you saying, I know what I bring to the table. I know my capacity. But arrogance is you saying, I'm better than everyone else. It's a difference. You can know your worth without feeling that everybody else does not know theirs or is not worth anything. All right. So confidence is secure. You're secure in yourself, in your abilities, in all that. But arrogance is actually insecurity. It means you're insecure in your abilities. And of course, humility, defining humility is the accurate view of yourself that recognizes both your strengths and your limitations. That accurate view of yourself that recognizes both your strengths and your limitations while valuing others appropriately. That is humility. So it's not humility. You know, if you're in Nigeria, you know like there's something we call humility, where you just want to be. It's the Igbo word that's coming to my mind. I'm even trying to think of the English way to express this. No, you're just trying to be, um, you know, I'm not worthy. No, that is not humility. Humility is an accurate view of yourself that recognizes both your strengths and your weaknesses, while at the same time valuing others appropriately. That is humility. So it's not weakness. It's not low self-esteem. That humility I'm talking about is low self-esteem. Is not what we are talking about. That is low self-esteem. And it's not pretending that you don't have any gifts, you don't have any talents. That is not humility. It's knowing that you have some strengths, but also knowing at the same time that you have limitations. And while knowing all this, you don't devalue others. You don't devalue others. All right, so that gives us a basis. At least we've seen definitions of terms of the things we are talking about today. Um, one of the, I always, bear with me once again. One of the greatest examples we have of authority without arrogance is Jesus. Go and study his life. This is not me preaching at you. This is not me being overly spiritual. This is me stating a fact for you. Go and truly study the life of Jesus. You will see that he demonstrated extraordinary authority. He did. He calmed storms, he healed the sick, he raised the dead, he did everything, yet he washed his apostles' feet. So he had authority, extraordinary authority, but without arrogance. Without arrogance. Go and study his life. Stop doing this is church thing. It's not. Study a lot of, I found that a lot of the things we teach under leadership, management, and such, they all came from the Bible. So go and study it like a book first. Study the life of Jesus. You will learn a lot. He's one of the greatest examples of authority without arrogance. Okay, so let me move on to, yes, something I wanted to say when I was defining arrogance that we don't realize most times, and it's the fact that arrogance often comes from insecurity. Many times we think that people who are arrogant is because they are confident. It's not so. Many times, surprisingly, even psychology suggests the opposite, that people who are arrogant are most times very insecure. It flows from insecurity, not from confidence. It's because they have doubts. That is why they try to project. That is why they try to project. And there is a name. There's a name for this. It's called defensive self enhancement. Defensive self enhancement. That is when you exaggerate your strengths or your superiority because you're trying to protect a fragile self esteem. This is the core of most arrogant acts, most arrogant deeds, is trying to cover for insecurities by projecting. So, defensive self enhancement. Truly confident people, people who truly are confident, they rarely need to prove themselves. They rarely need to prove themselves. Rarely. Excuse doesn't mean that they never have to prove themselves in some situations, but they rarely need to. Because their capacity, I mean, they know their capacity, so they are able from that to either speak or act or whatever. So they rarely need to prove themselves. And when you know that most cases of arrogance come from insecurity, you begin to see arrogant people differently, don't you? And you begin to see the need for you not to be arrogant. Yes. So now, what are the traits of authority without arrogance? One, honor others. Honor others. Recognize the value in others. Recognize that others carry value. Just like you carry some value, so do others. So honor others, recognize the value in people. Two, understand your limits. We all have limits. We all have, nobody that doesn't have any limitations. I remember years ago I did assessment of myself. I asked someone to do it. I didn't do it myself because most times we don't see our weaknesses, we don't see our limitations. Ask somebody to do a SWOT analysis of me. Somebody that is my superior in work, in everything, in age. Asked him to do that. And it helped me understand some of my weaknesses, some of my weak points, some of my limitations. So understand your limits. You do not know everything. Neither do I. If I knew everything, I wouldn't be studying in order to do these sessions, would I? But I have to always go and study. I always have to go and research because I don't know everything. None of us do. None of us do. So understand your limits. The next thing is to manage your ego. Don't let success distort your perspective. Don't let success distort your assessment of who you are. That you're successful does not mean that all your weaknesses are gone. They've suddenly magically disappeared. So manage your ego. These are the traits of authority without arrogance. These are the things that help you exercise authority without arrogance. Honor others, understand your limits. We all have them. Understand those your own limits. Then manage your ego. Manage your ego. The next thing is be teachable. Always be open to learning. We can never know it all. Always be open to learn. Stay open to learning. Stay open to learning. The next thing is to lead through service. Influence grows through contribution. So serve. And as you serve, you lead. It sounds one kind, Is how do you lead through service? When you serve others, when you contribute to others' growth, you also growing. And because, okay, when you're contributing to others' growth, you already have something. As you contribute to others' growth, you increase what you have. That is what I love about teaching. Because the more you teach, the more you learn, you're adding to your own learning. You are not leave. Sometimes people think they are losing by teaching others. You actually lose nothing. If I know how to use, for example, this laptop that's in front of me now, by teaching you how to use the laptop, I've not lost my own knowledge. I've actually added, because as I'm teaching you, something new must be added to it. Maybe from a question you ask. So lead through service. That is how it's possible to influence through contributions. The next is to elevate others, help others grow, help others grow. Don't be the only tree, the only mighty tree in the whole forest. Help others grow. As you're growing, help others grow. Help others grow. Don't, I see this a lot where people want to be the only one standing. Who are you helping, really? So help others grow. As others grow, like I said, when you teach others, you improve. When you teach others, you improve. So when you elevate others, it also benefits you. So elevate others. Elevate others. If you looked carefully at what we just talked about, the traits of authority is a mnemonic: humble, HUMBLE. Honor others, understand your limits, manage your ego, be teachable, lead through service, and elevate others. Now, let me move on to how do we exercise this authority wisely? How do we exercise it wisely? Because we're talking about authority without arrogance, without being puffed up. One, serve first. Serve first. Leadership exists for others. You can lead yourself, yes, but if you truly want to lead others, if you truly want to influence others, you have to have a heart of service. So serve first. Leadership exists for others, not only for yourself, but for others. Then empower people. Empower people. Help others succeed. I cannot overemphasize. I must see you on Facebook, Mrs. Regina Obiago. That's my mom. Thank you so much. I appreciate your always, constantly. You don't miss my sessions. I thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I see you, Miss Rejoice, on Instagram. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So empower others, help others to succeed. You don't lose by helping others. I wish I can hit this into a lot of people's heads. You can never lose when you help others, even if they're ungrateful. Even if they're ungrateful, because there are a lot of ingrates in this world. There are so many. You will help them and they forget. Irrelevant. Keep helping, because you grow by helping. You succeed by helping others. So empower others. Respect everyone. Titles do not determine people's worth, though. Respect people. Just because you happen to be in a higher position today doesn't mean you'll always be. Titles do not determine people's worth. Have you not seen people who are managers or something and truly they know nothing? Have you seen it? I've seen it. So titles do not determine people's worth. Respect everyone. Treat everyone with respect. Everyone. Value feedback. Allow people to tell you the truth. Allow people to give you feedback. It's from feedback that you grow. I gave us the example of asking someone to do a SWOT analysis. That SWOT analysis was brutal. Brutal. The person went to town. But I took it as feedback. I didn't take it personal, as in begin to get upset that the things the person said about me. No. I took it as feedback and I applied lessons that I got from that feedback in my life. And I can say confidently today, I can say it with all confidence that a lot of where I am today was due to that assessment that person did. Because it helped me see my blind spots. The weaknesses I didn't even realize were weaknesses. There were some things he wrote there that I thought, I mean, it's just normal things, but he put them as a weakness for me, as limitations. So it helped me. Value feedback. Exercise humility daily. Humility is a practice, it's not an event, though. It doesn't just happen. It's something you practice and you practice daily. You keep trying, you keep doing. And let me say this about exercising authority without arrogance. If you're a true leader, someone that truly exercises influence or exudes influence, you have to be a secure leader. You have to be a leader that's comfortable sharing credit. You have to be a leader that celebrates others. You have to be a leader that delegates responsibilities. You have to be a leader that admits their mistakes. You have to be a leader that is continuously learning. The fact that you're sharing credit, you're celebrating others, or delegating authority will help keep you humble somehow. It will, because you know that it's not all you. It will help keep you humble. Remember, we're talking about authority without arrogance. So ensure that you're doing these things. Listen actively. Don't just listen to people for the next point. Listen actively. Hear what they are truly saying. If possible, hear what they are not even speaking with their mouth. Manage your emotions. Be a good emotional manager. Be an excellent manager of your emotions. Perfect emotional intelligence. To be a leader that exudes authority without arrogance, you need to. Because authority does amplify your impact. When you have a level of authority, it amplifies your impact. It amplifies what you're able to achieve. But in order to do this, you need to master your own emotions. You need to be able to control your emotions. You need to be able to manage your emotions effectively. With that, I come to the end of this session of growth habits. Remember, we talked about authority without arrogance. Without arrogance. And we said that it is possible if we remain humble. That is, we honor others, we understand our limits, we manage our ego, we remain teachable, we lead through service, and we elevate others. It is possible to have authority, excuse me, without arrogance. Once again, real authority is not always loud. Most times it's not. It's steady. It's it doesn't demand respect. It earns respect. Real authority earns respect. It doesn't diminish people, doesn't but rather it develops people. Real authority. It does not seek for applause. Does not seek for applause, but rather it seeks for impact. Seeks to impact people. So it's key to note that real authority, people that exude real authority, people that are really influential, they know that it is possible to be strong without being harsh. It's possible to be confident without being prideful. It's possible to have authority without arrogance. It's very possible. And it's the best way to exude authority when you have authority without arrogance. So for this week, learn how to lead with confidence, learn how to listen to people with humility, learn how to serve people with excellence, and use your influence responsibly. Now to our declarations for this week. Okay. Our declaration for this week says, I will lead with wisdom, with humility, and with integrity. I will use influence to serve, empower, and encourage others. I will remain teachable as I grow. My authority will be rooted in character, not ego. I will walk in confidence without arrogance and influence without intimidation. That is okay. I can see some people now on Facebook. My apologies. I'm just seeing your message. It says, I think it's insecurity that makes some not to teach or delegate authority. Exactly. It's insecurity. That's why I said that um, arrogance is a sign of insecurity. It's a sign of insecurity. We don't realize it, but that is what it is. That is what it is. It's a sign of insecurity. So I'm posting the posting yeah, okay, I'm posting the oh, okay, I can see some messages here. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay, I see Anastasia on YouTube. All right, I'm so sorry. I'm just seeing your message now. Um, yeah, it's a lot to take in, but it is so helpful when you're able to practice it. So you can listen again. It helps when you listen a second time. Slow down the the message and listen again. Okay, yeah, someone also says, I tried doing this assessment with a friend after I had helped assess the friend, but the friend never did, saying I should be myself. See, don't most times I don't ask friends for this kind of assessment unless I know that that friend is a friend that will tell me the truth without any mincing words. But if that friend is not the one that will do that, don't bother. Look for an authority figure. I use an authority figure, someone that I knew would also tell me the truth without mincing words, because that's the key. So I don't, most times I don't use friends because they're your friends. They don't want to hurt you most times, unless once again, that friend is one that tells you the truth. There's some friends that you have, if you really look and you know that they will tell you the truth without mincing words. They're not trying to hurt you by telling you the truth. You can use such friends. But when it's just some of these our normal usual friends, don't bother. Get someone that is somehow neutral. Like I said, I asked an authority figure, someone that it was actually my boss where I worked. But I asked him to assess me, forgetting that he's my boss, because that can also be an influence. Remove the fact that you're my boss. Just assess me and be brutally honest. I actually said that, and he was brutally honest. So yeah, that is the best way to do that. So look for someone like that in your life, and ask them to do that assessment for you. It changes your life, honestly. I know we say these things a lot. Something changed my life, but it changed my own life because I sat down and looked at the things that he said, and I applied. I didn't begin to do, how could you? No, I didn't begin to do, how could you say this? I asked for it anyway. So I took every single word he said seriously and began to apply them in my life. The things I needed to change, I started working on changing them. So yeah, it is very, very helpful. Just checking if there's any other message I need to respond to. Okay, yeah, I said on YouTube, said this is striking. Thank you. I feel like changing my circle. You can't be my friend and not be honest and transparent enough to tell me the truth. Yeah, you don't have to, like I always tell people, reduce access, don't cut off. Don't cut off people. I don't think we should really just cut, unless the person is truly, truly toxic. But what I advise people to do is to reduce access. Those friends that are not quite, like you said, can't be honest with you, can't be transparent enough to tell you the truth, reduce access. You don't have to cut them off. Reduce access, and then find those ones that can tell you the truth. Then give them access into your life. So my advice is always to reduce access. You don't have to cut people off completely unless the person is truly, truly toxic. Some people are super duper toxic and they need to be cut off. So I've posted the declarations. Can't you see it? I'm on Facebook. I just posted it. I will lead with wisdom. Just check and confirm to me that you can see it on Facebook. I've posted the declarations. All right. With that, we have come to the end of this session of Growth Habits with Ngozi. Remember that I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. I did an explanation of it in the beginning. So if you missed it, go back and, yes, listen to how I explained my being my personal guide on the journey of growth to you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you got value from this session. So once again, thank you for joining me today. We are every Tuesday. Growth Habits is here, 12 noon Nigerian time. That is the time, 12 noon Nigerian time. If there'll be a change, I will let us know ahead of time, but the change will probably just be to 1 p.m. Nigerian time. So thank you all once again for joining me. It's always a pleasure sharing this time. Okay, you have seen it on Facebook. All right, thank you. It's always a pleasure sharing this time and this season with you. I don't take it for granted that you spend this time here. Those that also watch the replay, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I say, I bid adieu, as they say. See you next week, Tuesday, right here on Growth Habits. And remember to make today and every day count. Be valuable and ensure that you are growing. Every time, ensure that you are growing. Very, very important. Thank you for joining me. See you next week, Tuesday, 12 noon, Nigerian time. Do have an awesome day. Bye.